I didn't tell anyone I was coming home early. The front door creaked open, and the house felt wrong. Too quiet. Too still. Like something had already happened and the walls were keeping the secret. "Mom?" I called out. No answer. Then I saw her. She was on the living room floor, leaning against the couch. Her gray hair stuck to her face, and there was blood, dry in some places, fresh in others, running down from her forehead. Her hands were shaking. Her eyes. They lit up when they saw me, but there was fear in them I had never seen before. "Dad," she whispered, her voice barely there. My chest tightened. "Who did this?" She tried to speak, but her lips trembled. No words came out. And then I heard it. Laughter. Loud. Carefree. Like nothing in the world was wrong. It was coming from the kitchen. I stood there for a second, frozen between two realities. My mother bleeding on the floor, and someone laughing like it was a celebration.
I already knew that voice. My son. I walked slowly toward the kitchen, each step heavier than the last. My jaw tightened, my hands clenched, but my face stayed calm. Too calm. As I reached the doorway, I saw him, sitting at the table, laughing with his in-laws like it was just another normal day. No concern, no urgency, no guilt. He looked up at me, still smiling, and in that exact moment, something inside me went completely cold. He didn't even stand up. "Dad, you're back early," my son said, like I had just walked in from the store, not from a trip I was supposed to be on for 3 more days. His in-laws turned their heads slowly, smiles still on their faces, cups of tea in their hands, comfortable, relaxed, like nothing was wrong. I looked at him for a long second, then I glanced behind me, toward the living room. "She's on the floor," I said quietly. He shrugged, actually shrugged. "She slipped. It's not a big deal," he replied, taking another sip. Not a big deal. Something twisted in my chest, but I kept my face still. This wasn't new. That's what made it worse. It hadn't started today. It started small, months ago. The way he would ignore her when she spoke, the way he'd roll his eyes when she repeated something, the way he'd laugh with his wife's parents when they made those quiet little comments, like she was a burden. "She's old. Let her be. She forgets things. What can you expect?" And he would just smile. I saw it. I heard it. But I told myself it was nothing serious. I was wrong. Standing there now, watching him sit comfortably while his own mother bled in the next room, I realized something I should have seen a long time ago. This wasn't carelessness. This was disrespect that had been growing, unchecked. And now, it had crossed a line that couldn't be ignored anymore. I stepped further into the kitchen. He was still smiling. That smile didn't last long. I didn't raise my voice. That's what confused him first. I walked past the table slowly, like I didn't even see them, like none of this mattered. My eyes moved across the room, noticing everything. The untouched plates, the half-finished tea, the chair slightly pushed back, like someone had stood up in a hurry. Then I saw it. A small stain on the edge of the kitchen floor. Dark, fresh, blood. My eyes followed the faint trail, leading back toward the living room. No one said a word behind me. They were watching now, waiting for a reaction. But I gave them nothing. I stepped back into the living room and knelt beside my mother. My hands were steady as I gently lifted her head. She winced slightly. Her breathing was uneven. "Did he touch you?" I asked quietly. Her eyes flickered toward the kitchen. That was enough. I nodded once, slow, controlled. Inside, something shifted. Not anger, not yet. Something colder. Something precise. I helped her sit up properly, grabbed a clean cloth and pressed it lightly against her forehead. My movements were calm, careful, almost mechanical. Behind me I could hear chairs moving, whispers, uneasy silence. They could feel it now. I stood up slowly and turned around. My son was no longer smiling. Good. I looked at him, not like a father, but like a man measuring another man, every detail, every weakness, every mistake. And in that moment, I made a decision. I wasn't going to shout. I wasn't going to react. I was going to make sure. He remembered this day for the rest of his life. I didn't ask him again. I walked back into the kitchen and pulled out a chair. Slow, controlled. I sat down across from him like we were about to have a normal conversation. No one touched their tea now. "Tell me exactly what happened," I said. My son looked at his wife first, then at her father. That hesitation said everything. "She slipped," he repeated, but his voice had changed. Tight, careful. I leaned forward slightly. "From where?" Silence. I let it sit there. Let it grow. His mother-in-law cleared her throat. "She's been unstable for a while. You know how old people—" "Stop," I said quietly. She stopped. I turned my eyes back to him. "You moved her, didn't you?" His jaw tightened. "We just helped her sit down." "In the living room?" I asked. No answer. I nodded slowly, like I was putting pieces together. "She was in the kitchen first," I said. "That's where the blood is." His face changed. There it was. A crack. "She came in while we were talking," he said quickly. She started shouting, making a scene in front of guests. "So you grabbed her." "I didn't." "You grabbed her," I repeated, calm. His silence confirmed it. My eyes moved to the others. None of them denied it. "She hit the counter," he added, almost defensively. "It wasn't intentional." I sat back in my chair. Not intentional. But he left her there, bleeding, alone, while he laughed. I looked at him one more time, and now I knew the truth wasn't just what he did. It was what he chose not to do after. That's when I stood up, because now it was time to begin. I didn't argue. That's what unsettled them the most. I simply nodded, like I accepted everything he said. "Take your tea," I told him calmly. "Finish it." He blinked, confused. "What?" "Finish it." My tone didn't change. No anger, no emotion, just control. He picked up the cup slowly, eyes still locked on mine. The room was silent except for the faint clink of porcelain against his hand. Good. Let him feel normal for a moment, because this was the last normal moment he would have. I turned away and walked back to the living room. I helped my mother onto the couch, adjusted the cushion behind her back, and cleaned the blood properly this time. My hands were steady, but my mind was already moving ahead. I pulled my phone out. One message, then another. Quiet, precise. No one in the kitchen could hear anything. When I returned, I noticed something small, but important. His confidence was gone. He wasn't laughing anymore. He was watching me, trying to read me. Too late. I picked up the kitchen towel and wiped the faint blood mark from the floor, but not completely, just enough. Evidence doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to exist. Then I placed my phone face down on the table and looked at him again. "Stay," I said. One word, firm, final. He didn't move. Good, because now everything was in place. And soon, very soon, he was going to understand exactly what he had done. Not through my anger, but through consequences he wouldn't be able to escape. No one noticed when I stepped outside. That's how quiet it all was. The night air hit my face, cold and sharp. Exactly what I needed. I walked a few steps away from the house and made the call. "Yeah," I said calmly. "I need you here. Now." No explanations. They didn't need one. I ended the call and stood there for a second, listening to the silence. Inside, I could still hear faint movement, chairs shifting, low whispers. They were nervous now. Good. I went back in like nothing had happened. Same calm face, same steady walk. I picked up my phone from the table and tapped the screen once. The recording was still running. Every word from the last 20 minutes, captured. Every excuse, Every lie, every hesitation, saved. I slipped the phone back into my pocket and turned toward the hallway. On the wall, the security panel blinked quietly. He had forgotten about it. Of course he did. People like him always forget the details that matter. I pulled up the footage. Kitchen, living room, timestamps didn't lie. There it was. Him grabbing her arm. Too hard. Her losing balance. The impact. The fall. And then, him walking away. I stared at the screen for a moment, then locked it. Enough. When I walked back into the kitchen, everyone looked at me like they were waiting for something. I gave them nothing. Just silence. Just control. Then I sat down again, right across from him, and for the first time since I arrived, I allowed myself a faint smile, because now the trap wasn't just ready, it was already closing. The knock on the door came right on time. 3 sharp hits. No one moved. I stood up, walked past them, and opened it. 2 officers stepped in, calm, professional, observing everything. Behind me, I heard the chair scrape hard against the floor. "Dad, what is this?" my son said, his voice tight now. I didn't answer him. "Evening," one of the officers said. "We received a call." "You did," I replied, stepping aside. "Please come in." The room changed instantly. No more comfort, no more control for them. Just pressure. My son tried to recover. "This is a misunderstanding. My grandmother, she just fell." "Did she?" I said quietly. He stopped. I pulled out my phone and placed it on the table. Tapped once. The audio filled the room. His voice, his excuses, his silence when it mattered. Then I turned the screen toward them. Footage, clear, undeniable. Him grabbing her, the fall, walking away. No one spoke. His wife looked at him, like she was seeing him for the first time. Her father lowered his eyes. And my son, he broke. "Dad, I didn't mean—" "Stop," I said, just one word. And he did. The officers stepped forward, their tone shifting. Serious now. Questions, procedures, consequences. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. Because everything he tried to hide was now standing in the middle of the room, exposed, and as they placed a hand on his shoulder, he finally understood. This wasn't about a mistake anymore. This was the moment everything collapsed. The house felt different after they took him. Not quiet. Empty, like something rotten had finally been cut out. The front door closed behind the officers, and for a moment, no one moved. His wife stood frozen, her hands trembling. Her parents didn't say a word. They couldn't even look at me. Good. They had nothing left to say. I turned away from them and walked back into the living room. My mother was still sitting there, weaker now, but safe. That's what mattered. I sat beside her and gently held her hand. It felt fragile, warmer than before. "I'm here," I said quietly. Her eyes filled, but she didn't cry. She just nodded, like she finally believed it. That broke something inside me more than anything else tonight. Not anger, not rage, just the realization that she had gotten used to being alone. I helped her rest properly, adjusted the blanket over her shoulders, and stayed there for a while. No rush, no noise, just presence. Behind us, I heard the soft sound of the front door opening again. They were leaving, without a word. Of course they were. People like that never stay when truth shows up. I didn't stop them, didn't look back, because my focus wasn't on them anymore. It was here, with her. Later that night, sitting beside her as she finally slept peacefully, I understood something clearly. Family isn't who stands in your house. It's who stands for you when you can't. And now, she wouldn't have to stand alone ever again.